I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and you are part of this community. We welcome you. Joining us here in the center in person, those who are part of our Zoom family, and those who will be watching this on our Facebook channel or our YouTube page. Know that we love you and we appreciate you here at the Monterey Center. I want to begin this morning by just expanding. For our inspirational reading this morning, we heard a reading from the book, The Four Pivots. This is an amazing book that our Centers for Spiritual Living will be offering to us during the month of July as a book study, and it is free. I will have the registration information for you available next week online to go in and register for it. It will be the 5 Tuesdays in January, starting January the 2nd. And I believe the meeting time Pacific will be 4 p.m. to either 5:30 or 6. I believe it's about an hour and a half. I'll have all of those details for you. But I went through the book study for the practitioners and ministers, and we just had an amazing time looking at how spiritual principles are in alignment and in work everywhere in the world. And this is just one aspect of it. This is a very exciting book. We're very excited about it at Centers for Spiritual Living to bring it to you as a gift to our community. So I will have more details for you next week about that. And then for the month of December, our inspirational readings will be taken from the Four Pivots, just to give you a flavor of where the organization is moving to in being in alignment with our part in being socially engaged. And there's nothing wrong with being socially engaged, and we all have our own individual and unique way of engaging in bringing about a world that works for everyone exactly where they are. And so I'm really excited about this. Today we begin our December series, Living as Wholeness, and our topic is Embracing Wholeness. Beginning this Thursday, December the 7th, and continuing through December the 15th, our brothers and sisters and friends and family in the Jewish communities will celebrate Hanukkah, also known as the Feast of Dedication, the Festival of Lights, the Feast of Maccabees. And this celebration reaffirms the ideals of Judaism and commemorates the rededication of the Second Temple of Jerusalem by the lighting of the candles in the menorah. And I selected these quotes that describe Hanukkah and from my perspective, which represents the principles of unity and oneness. Actress Suzanne Field says, Hanukkah is an honoring of the divine spark in every soul made in God's image. Hanukkah is an honoring of the divine spark in every soul made in God's image. And Arthur Ben Sweetland writes, we cannot hold a torch to light another's path without brightening our own. We cannot hold a torch to light another's path without brightening our own. These quotes are spiritual principles, if you will, offer a nice segue into our talk today, which is embracing wholeness. Ernest Holmes said this in our Science of Mind textbook: the spark which burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living flame of the eternal spirit. That spark of life, that pure life, that wholeness is within all of us. The universe only knows us as whole. It doesn't see any distinctions. It doesn't see any labels that we tend to put on one another. It only sees us as whole. Our charge is to recognize, to nurture, and to experience this divine spark of wholeness by living from our own divine center, recognizing it in others, and working for it in our communities and in the world. just as nature has seasons, we have seasons in our own personal lives. And I just want to share with you a little bit this morning about a season that I'm going through in my life. What I've observed for the last 7+ years is that window between October and February is for me a time of grief and a time of transformation. Because this was that window where my wife began her transition process. And I had the honor and the privilege of being her primary caregiver. And so as I reflect on what was changing and what was going on during this time, it brings up memories. It brings up those areas of guilt. It brings up those areas where there was joy, all of the emotions that go along with that. And over the past couple of weeks, during my exercise routine, I work out in front of my bookcase, which is a mistake because even though I'm doing the routines, I'm also looking at the bookcase and I'm saying, okay, well, I've read this one. I don't want this one anymore. Maybe I should give this one away, or this belongs over here, or this belongs over there. So I'm rearranging the bookcase as I'm going along. And then I think it was, I guess it really hit me within the past couple of weeks. There's a frame that I have, a picture frame that has several little round places in it where you can insert photos. And in that frame, I should have brought it for illustration. There are a total of six individuals in the photo, within the frame. My oldest daughter, and it's a picture of her christening, myself, my wife, my mother, and one of my aunts. And as I'm looking at that, I'm going, wow, 4 of the 6 individuals in this photo have made their transitions. And for some reason this year, it really had more of an impact on me. So it's my oldest daughter and myself that are left out of those 6. And yet, the joy of remembering each unique contact that I had with those individuals brings me joy. The other thing I've been doing as part of my own transformation and renewal project is releasing old journals. Now, I'm not taking the time to read through them in detail, because some of those things I really don't want to go back and remember. But as I glance at them, there are things that are kind of recurring that are inviting me to go inward and to remember the truth of who I am, to remember to set boundaries on the external noises that I invite in, and to be supported by becoming aware of the people that I trust. And I was recently listening to something on the internet, and it was talking about being aware of traps that people set for you, especially when we have chosen to step into a leadership position. People set traps, and then they wait for you to fall into the trap. But if you follow your intuition, if you listen to that inner spark within, and lean not into your own understanding, you watch them fall into the trap that they have set for you. And while we get joy out of that, it is also a reminder, and I'm reminded of there's an Islamic saying that says, trust Allah, but tie up your own camel. And so as I go through this transition, as I look at those areas of my life where I have felt betrayal, where I have experienced anger, where I've experienced fear, I come back to the teachings of this philosophy, the teachings of science and mind, that remind me that I am whole, perfect, and complete in the mind of God. And I always like to interject a little humor, have a little fun in this process. And so there's a Peanuts cartoon that shows Charlie Brown as a manager of a baseball team. Some of you may be familiar with this comic strip. Charlie is standing on the mound and Lucy approaches him. He looks at her quizzically and she says, I'm sorry I missed that easy fly. I thought I had it, but suddenly I remembered the other times that I had missed. And in the last frame, walking up the mound, she says, the past just got in my eyes. And so how many times have we allowed the past to get in our eyes and to block us from an easy catch or an easy move or an easy transition or an easy change? Just something to think about. My inner spark, that spark that is talked about in the Jewish tradition, that spark that Ernest Holmes talks about in our Science of Mind teaching, allows me to remember the pain of the past. I remember the pain of the past, and I allow that memory to lead me into a higher dimension that is my inherent birthright as a divine expression of spirit. And so I just share this with you this morning as a way of saying, because I stand before you every Sunday and try and present a polished talk in some ways, sometimes I hit it, sometimes I don't, or however I may show up as an outward expression of the divine, that I too have my own challenges. I too have my own opportunities. I have those experiences where I go to my practitioner, I go to my prayer partners, I go to those spiritual tools that remind me of my divine birthright. And this is ours to do also. Eric Butterworth in The Creative Life writes this: you are a perfect idea in infinite mind. You are whole now. This wholeness is the way the universe knows you. God wants us to embrace our wholeness, this wholeness that flows through our spiritual consciousness. And you know, I had a visual demonstration yesterday of wholeness while I was here at the center along with Bobby and Denise helping to decorate the Christmas tree as well as the other phase of our center. And so I invite you after service to just take a look around and to enjoy the festivity and the atmosphere that we are creating here. This beautiful Christmas tree that is behind me is whole unto itself. We bend it. We pull the branches and squish them together. And we strategically place everything into its box for storage. And I wish I had the box out here first for an illustration of how this compact, this beautiful, magnificent tree gets squished into this compact box. But I'm sure you have the idea. And so when we remove the tree from the box, we bend and pull apart and strategically shape the branches and the ornaments to return it to this full state of wholeness that you see. And we use decorations to fill in the gaps and make it appear to be whole. And I remember when we were buying live Christmas trees, you would try and find, and there's no tree on a lot that is perfectly symmetrical, that is perfectly round, perfectly shaped. There's a gap someplace. No matter how much you search for one that is whole, there's a gap someplace. You have that memory? Yes, yes, yes. And so when we're decorating the tree, we strategically place it, you know, in a corner or with its back facing a non-visible area, so that that place which we view as being imperfect is hidden away. That's what we do in our own lives. We hide away those parts that we feel that are imperfect. And yet, God only sees our wholeness. That is all that God sees. Our wholeness is often our expectations and our desires. And on the deepest level, our desires are yearning to experience the qualities of God in our lives. Inherently, we know that Spirit provides us with the tools for living an elegant and an opulent life. Seeking the sacred dimension of life, which offers us grounded and sound spiritual guidance, free of dogma and patriarchal rules, is what attracts a lot of us to the teachings of Science of Mind. We have no dogma. We don't bow down to the patriarchy. The patriarchy, in its fragile state, as someone recently described, has hell and the devil as that place of punishment to send you to if you don't obey their rules and their order and their guidelines. We don't practice that in Science of Mind. We practice the wholeness of the individual self, knowing that each one is that divine spark. And so in the illustrations I shared with you earlier about releasing my old fears and those emotions and things that I'm going through, you may ask, well, has your work ended with this experience? And the answer is a big no. N-O, no. This is an ongoing process. Sometimes it feels like disappointment, anger, and betrayal and other emotions. And yet, we know the truth about our wholeness. Hafiz wrote this: "The beloved said, 'My name is not complete without yours. I am made whole by your life. Each soul contemplates me.'" And so practicing the principles of Science of Mind keeps me consciously aware of my wholeness, that I have healthier emotions in my life, and that I have a better chance to learn from experiencing the blessings and releasing whatever it is that appears to be a block. The Master Teacher Jesus advised us to seek the kingdom of wholeness first, and then the things of this world would be added unto our lives. Our New Thought, Ancient Wisdom approach to seeking the kingdom is to utilize the spiritual principles of Science of Mind treatment. Spiritual mind treatment, also known as affirmative prayer, these are our practices. Spiritual mind treatment, meditation, visioning, and speaking affirmations. Our practices also include gratitude, forgiveness, and compassion. Utilizing these tools and practices steeps our minds and hearts in unity, in consciousness, and in wholeness. Ernest Holmes wrote this in Spiritual Awareness: "Every person represents an individualization of the universal wholeness, the love, peace, joy, and freedom of spirit. The power of spirit expressing through every atom of our being in this moment. God, in its infinite wisdom, fashioned us in its image. It placed us in the garden and gave us dominion over our own life. And when we take charge of our lives and we practice dominion over our thoughts, over our feelings, and over our emotions, we clear the circuits in our consciousness to make ourselves ready to experience wholeness. We acknowledge that conditions not supporting our highest spiritual calling have no power over us. Exercising dominion helps us to remove the distractions, the disappointment, the failures, and the feelings of less than." And so I offer these key points for reflection this morning. Spirit's grandest idea is to give us the kingdom, a life of wholeness. We are created in the full expression of life by the same power that created the universe. There is no separation. We know that deep within our very being is pure wholeness. We have the depth of heart and the tools to elevate our awareness to this level of living a whole life. Our charge is to do the work. Are you ready to do the work? Are you ready to continue to do the work? And Eckhart Tolle offers this as a spiritual practice for the week if you choose to follow it. When listening to another, just listen with your mind. Listen with your whole body. What really matters is the being of the other person underneath the words. This is the realization of oneness, which is love. And I invite us now to say together our weekly affirmation. I am living as a divine spark of wholeness. Let us say that again. I am living as a divine spark of wholeness. Ernest Holmes reminds us, every prayer is answered when we realize love, wisdom, wholeness, the source of every good thing. And when we understand that there is a creative law which responds to us by corresponding to our belief. And so I invite you now to join me in prayer. Know this truth with me, that there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is whole, it is perfect, it is complete. It is a life that I am living right here and right now. And it is the life of all beings. This life represents the allness of God. And so in this moment, I speak my word of truth, declaring that as I embrace wholeness, as I embrace the truth of who I am, that everything in my life continues to flow in divine, right, and perfect order. Regardless of whether I see the perfection or not, it is flowing in divine, right, and perfect order. And as this is true for me, I know it to be the truth for all people, for all beings, for all of life everywhere on the entire planet, that which operates in the visible and that which operates in the unseen, in the invisible. Everything is always working together for our highest and best good. And so I declare this morning that my best days are yet to come. And I know this to be the truth for all, that our best days are yet to come. As we move through the season of change, as we move through the season of light, as we prepare to celebrate the beginning of winter with the winter solstice, I am knowing that everything is continually working together for the highest and best of all. Knowing that all of our needs are met, all that is required is that we speak our word into the universe, declaring what it is that we desire. And the scripture says that if we ask in faith, believing, the promises will be fulfilled. So we ask, we believe, we accept, and we see the demonstration. And that demonstration shows up as right livelihood. It shows up as right relationships. It shows up as right living accommodations. It shows up as whatever the desire of our heart is. The only requirement is that we make it known by speaking our word into the universe. And knowing this to be the truth for all people who are gathering in the name and nature of the one divine source, I bless communities that are gathering. And as we travel parallel paths, and as our paths intersect with each other, I know that the divine spark of wholeness is revealing itself in all people, in all places, and at all times. And so in deep, deep gratitude for this and so much more than eyes have seen or ears have heard or words I have to form a description to, I am eternally grateful. And I release this word now back into that law, which always says yes. And I just allow the demonstration to unfold in its magnificence. And if any of what I have said resonates with you in any way, I invite you to affirm it with me as we say together, and so it is. And so it is. And so I take this time to remind us to, especially during this season, when a lot of emotions are raw, a lot of emotions are high, to take the time to meet with a practitioner. Here at the center, we have prayer request forms available on our prayer table, and you can write out your prayer request, place it in the prayer box, and we will pray with you and pray for you over that request. Also encourage you to have a face-to-face meeting with a practitioner. Our contact information is on our website. It is posted on our bulletin board here in the service, and it is also available in our weekly newsletter. We also have our World Ministry of Prayer through Centers for Spiritual Living to hold us in anonymous prayer, and we also partner with Silent Unity to hold us in that place of prayer. So the bottom line is, don't leave with a problem. And also, we honor you and celebrate your joys and successes and victories. So whatever it is, take the time to share with a friend, to share with a confidant, and to always make your petitions known to the Spirit. And it is now time for us to participate in the circulation and the flow of our offering. This is our time of giving to support our center and to support some of the projects and events that we are involved in. I invite us to say our affirmation of abundance together. I recognize the presence of God within as a source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the uninterrupted flow of abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so there are ways to participate. You may mail in your donations to our center, and the address is on the screen. You may text to give, and that phone number is on our screen. You may also donate online to our website, montereycsl.org. And I just have a few reminders that I would like to share with our virtual community, and that is our Santa Project. Each year here at the Monterey Center, we have the opportunity to partner with Gift Inc. and to donate Christmas gifts to children who would not necessarily have a gift. And so this year we have partnered with Gift Inc. and we have 8 foster children in our community. I think there's, 6 girls and 2 boys? 4 and 4, 4 girls, 4 boys, and even balance this year. And for those of you in the center, we have purchased some of the gifts, and they're on display. And for those of you in our Zoom, in our virtual community, we invite you to support us in this project. And you may do so by sending in your donation either to our mailing address, or you may donate through the website. And if you're a subscriber to the newsletter, the link to the website is in the newsletter, and we invite you to click on the drop-down menu for your donation and designate it as Santa Project. And all of your donations are tax deductible to the full extent of the law. So we really appreciate your support in helping us bring joy to children who might not experience it in the same way that we experience this as children ourselves, or may not have experienced it. It's an opportunity to give back to our community. And I would also like you to just hold the date, December the 24th. We will do our Christmas Eve celebration as part of our regular service on Sunday morning. And then on December the 31st, we will have our end of the year celebration, and it will also be first night. And we'll have an opportunity for you who are locally to participate in first night. And so to our Facebook and YouTube family, we say thank you for joining us this morning, and we invite you to return next Sunday, where the message will be recognizing wholeness, seeing the good in all.